So the next article is coming from also the Des Moines Register. A lot of the articles that I do have today are from the Des Moines Register. There's just been a particular focus on forward, future-focused information coming from the Des Moines Register, and I appreciate that they're making that focus. And so I'm watching and learning along the way. And so we do have something about Whole Foods. Speaking of groceries, and it's on the camera for you there. Whole Foods is eyeing Des Moines Metro. And so we've already talked about the Trader Joe's that's in West Des Moines. This is Whole Foods, which is an Austin-based company. A little bit more expensive, but we'll see how the price points play out if they do come to Iowa. Officials in Des Moines and West Des Moines are pitching locations for Iowa's first Whole Foods market store, with the possibility that a decision could be announced as early as next month. Local officials said the leading site appears to be the Water Tower Place Shopping Center at 4100 University Avenue in West Des Moines, but Des Moines officials said Ingersoll Avenue between Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and 31st Street is also a possibility. And that's near the Des Moines, or not the Des Moines, but the Drake neighborhood. It's kind of the meeting point between Drake neighborhood and then the Ingersoll Business District, that area. Whole Foods says on its website that the company's requirements for a store include 200,000 or more people within a 20-minute drive, 25,000 to 50,000 square feet of space, a large number of college-educated residents, abundant parking, easy access, and excellent visibility in a high-traffic area. So those are their criteria. And then Clyde Evans, Economic Development Director for West Des Moines, said the owners of Water Tower Place have submitted a proposal to Whole Foods. The shopping center is already home to Best Buy, Borders Books, Sportabout, and World Market. Des Moines City Councilwoman Christine Hensley said City Manager Rick Clark spoke with Paul Hilliard, Whole Foods Vice President of Real Estate, on November 24th about the possibility of locating a store on Ingersoll Avenue, west of downtown Des Moines. She said the city is preparing information about possible locations on Ingersoll that will be presented to Whole Foods officials later this month. While Des Moines would very much like to be home to Whole Foods' first store in Iowa, Hensley said her sense is that the company's primary interest is in West Des Moines and that the Ingersoll area might be a location for a second store. They're going to have a conference call about that in mid-February to discuss the quarter that ends January 16th. And I do hope that Des Moines is truly making its best effort to present its best case for Whole Foods to come to the Des Moines proper, or the city area of Des Moines. A lot of industry does go out to West Des Moines and the surrounding suburbs. Whole Foods would be a great store to have to serve the community in the central part of Des Moines. I think it adds to the quality of life, and so we'll see how that works out, hopefully in a great way. The next article comes from the Des Moines Register. This is January 4th from online, and this is the headline right here. Woodlawn is newest community garden in Des Moines. All right. We've talked about the urban gardening aspect of food, and we've talked about groceries, so this is the gardening part. The plots are particularly favored by immigrants, a park manager says. The Des Moines Parks and Recreation Department is opening a new community garden in the northwest part of Woodlawn Park, 3126 Tawana Drive. Tiva Dawson, Recreation Services Manager for the department, said at the department's monthly meeting December 28th that the project is being developed because of community interest. She worked last summer with Lutheran Services in Iowa, which reported high interest among new immigrants and refugees living in the northwest part of the city. Dawson started the community garden project in 1998 when she joined the department. Now community gardens are located all over the city. The gardens don't have to be on public property, Dawson said, adding that residents who are willing to loan some of their land to a community garden may pair with the Parks and Recreation Department. The new garden, Woodlawn Park, will have at least 40 plots, and it too has a waiting list already. Parks and Recreation staff tilled it in the fall, so it'll be ready for spring planting. And then Tiva Dawson does recommend, quote, people shouldn't be afraid to sign up because we have waiting lists, we have a good sense of demand, and that's why we're able to open up another garden. Anyone interested in learning more about the Parks and Recreation Department's community garden should contact Dawson, Tiva Dawson, by email at tldawson@dmgov.org. tldawson@dmgov.org. All right, so that's terrific. Definitely we support that here at Blue.Green.Fusion for sure. Good news. So we're going to switch from that over to public works, which is another aspect of what we cover on the show. The first article is methane, or methane if you're English, likely is cause of blast at the Coralville plant. And we did talk about that in the previous episode, the 14th episode, and this is the follow-up story to that. Here's the headline right here. Methane. I'll put it right there. There we go. Methane likely is cause of blast at Coralville plant. All right. It looks like methane is a culprit, but authorities still aren't exactly sure what led to an explosion at Coralville sewage treatment complex that injured a city worker on Monday. Fire Chief Dave Stannard said methane buildup was the only possibility for explosion, but authorities are not sure why the gas built up or where. Injured was Brian Laminaski, the city's wastewater superintendent. City manager Kelly Hayworth said. Apparently, the story goes on, Laminaski was working with an outside contractor who was not in the area at the time of the accident to prepare for the removal of the sludge. Once a year, the sludge is taken from the tank and applied to farmland. Stannard said it is believed Laminaski was using a torch to try to open a frozen hatch on the roof. That's when the explosion occurred. And I did want to point out that there's a lot of language that points to speculation on the part of several people connected with the story. It says that it's likely this is what happened. This is the only possibility. And then it is believed. And so none of this is actually concrete, factual information from what I can see. And there's no quote from the person who was injured, who was actually the only person that was there at the time of the explosion. So I think there's probably going to be, hopefully, another follow-up to this story to get the full benefit of the investigation, the full facts. But I guess that is one of the dangers associated with wastewater, things like this. So hopefully he'll be okay, and that'll work out for the best. Okay, this is another story. This is coming from the Wednesday, December 29th, Des Moines Register. Still on Public Works, and this is in Latimer, Iowa. State salvage yard violates regulations. A Latimer salvage yard has violated environmental regulations according to a lawsuit by the state. The lawsuit claims that Jerry Passel, owner of the junkyard, failed to properly remove fluids from vehicles entering the yard, failed to properly store batteries, and failed to promptly clean up spills and notify officials about the spills. And so we did discuss issues with recycling, which this kind of falls under the salvage yard, and the fact that there is environmental hazard associated with improper and unprofessional storage. And so this is what happens. When that happens, the state will step in. And so we do have to protect our communities from episodes like that, which is a good thing that the state did step in to make sure that the community was safe.